Namaskar, friends. Today I am going to present another paper of mine, title of which is Analyzing Theory of Evolution Through the Lens of Time Cycle in Jainism. I presented this paper at an international conference held at Tijara, Rajasthan on 3rd and 4th November 2019. And the topic of that conference was Jainism Scientific Foundations. So I'm going to start this presentation. Since then I have been working on this paper at different stages, but now I think I'm satisfied as of now with this, according to my developed wisdom. So let's start the presentation. One query that arises in a thoughtful mind about the theory of evolution is that if we have evolved from beings similar to apes, will this evolution continue and will Homo sapiens become a better, stronger, wiser, more powerful version of themselves in the future? Because when we talk about evolution, it seems to be a continuous process, and as per the survival of the fittest, if humans are the fittest on the planet, one day we will reach the pinnacle of being human, right? So, hypothetically, we can look at the theory of evolution through exactly the opposite perspective, which leads us from being the most developed humans to present day Homo sapiens through devolution. If this devolution keeps occurring with the passage of time, Homo sapiens will devolve into beings similar to apes. This is a hypothetical situation. So, in either case, we will see that neither the evolution is permanent nor the devolution. Nothing is stagnant. Even if the pinnacle of either is achieved, be it evolution or devolution, it won't stop even then. Because change is a constant phenomena in the universe, we see that this thought and idea leads to a cyclic pattern of occurrences which provides a base for further research. So, now let us ask ourselves, are humans the center of the universe? Because we think of ourselves as that. If yes, what is the role of other beings in the cosmic scene? And if they have any role, how are they important? Because in the current scenario we see that all the researches are made to make human life better. So now if we take insects, taking just insects alone, the number of living species has been estimated at around 3 million, and the number of individual insects may be a million. So basically it indicates towards a countless phenomena. So if there are no humans, we see the planet will flourish at its best. Whereas if we remove other beings from this scenario, some working or the other of the earth will be negatively influenced. Because as humans we think that we are the most important, but if we look around, we will notice that humans are the ones who have caused chaos on the planet. So just imagine, like, if there will be no humans, what will happen to the earth? So if we talk about insects, even termites are essential decomposers, and parasites are integral components in shaping community and ecosystem structure. Whereas we look at them as useless creatures. So now if we see, despite the harm caused to the planet by humans, they are most significant in finding the bigger purpose of existence, because they have the most developed brain. However, irrespective of how insignificant it seems, a living being is a living being which grows, feels, reproduces, and dies. We notice this pattern of life in every living being, be it a unicellular being or we humans. As in being alive, we notice that all beings share the same consciousness, the spark that makes life. Darwin introduced the mankind to the theory of evolution. So, for that reason, mankind is thankful to Darwin for discovering the theory of evolution. He gave the world an immensely important link to proceed onto the path to knowing the history of mankind, of truth. But the present day scholar Yuval Noah Harari writes in his well researched work Homo Deus, Darwin has deprived us of our souls. If you really understand the theory of evolution, you understand that there is no soul. This is but a terrifying thought. In Darwinian terms, survival of the fittest is best understood as survival of the form that will leave the most copies of itself in successive generations. So, if survival of the fittest is the only way to take one's race further, then we must ask ourselves, what will we do when the world's current population of 7.7 billion reaches 9.7 billion in 2050, which could peak at nearly 11 billion around 2100? What will we do then? So, the life sciences doubt the existence of the soul not just due to lack of evidence, but rather because the very idea of the soul contradicts the most fundamental principles of evolution. This is the reference I have taken from Harari's book. Truth is that faded mirror of a belief that we do not want to clear. For clearing it may cause discomfort to our way of life, in which we have molded everything according to our wishes and comfort. This quote will be decoded in the further slides of the presentation. We see that it is always scientists from India who find different non-violent terms, non-violent ways to explore the laws of the nature. For example, the famous Indian scientist Jagdish Chandra Bose, known for many inventions, including the crescograph, a device to measure the growth in plants, believed plants feel pain and understand affection just as much as humans do. Isn't it mind boggling? So, if we see the attributes of soul, we notice that in ancient India wisdom, there is a text, Tatvartha Sutra, a text on the nature of reality. So, now we will have a look on attributes of the soul as described in this text of Indian philosophy of Jainism. So, first and foremost characteristic of soul is sentience, is the defining characteristic of the soul. Second characteristic is souls are independent entities. For example, a mother's soul is independent from a child's soul, and so does with everyone else. Souls do not possess the material qualities of touch, taste, smell, and color. That is why they are beyond sensory perception. The soul is never bereft of sentience, however feeble and indistinct this may be in undeveloped organisms. For example, if we take a unicellular being, it also has a soul, but it is not bereft of sentience. Going deeper into the philosophy, we see that the worldly souls are classified as mobile and immobile beings. Here, worldly means souls bound in the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth because of creating continuous causes and binding effects for the future. Then karma comes into the picture, and we notice that directed by the various processes of karma, the soul passes through different states which generate changes in its nature, sometimes making it delusional and the other making it desire something, or going through emotions of anger, passion, woe, grief. Then we move ahead and we see the soul has an inherent capacity that can affect how the bondage ends, thereby affecting its fate. So we know that soul can be the instrumental cause in reaction or staying stable, but at the same time soul has this inherent capacity also that can affect the bondage, because it can stop the causes and enduring its effects. And that is why this is the way in which it can affect its own fate and end the bondage. Now we analyze, if we analyzing evolution through the eye of consciousness, we observe that evolution happens not only in the physical appearance of a being, but first at the level of its consciousness that manifests itself in the physical form. Yeah, another scholar writes in one of the works, consciousness is first and is in no way the result of chemical complexity, but is the cause of it. Many people argue that soul or life is nothing but union of some chemical components under some technical circumstances. So many scholars, many philosophers, many spiritualists have been researching about that, and they have found that consciousness is first and is in no way the result of chemical complexity, but is the cause of it. With this hypothesis, we can surely take the research meant for the betterment of mankind in a positive direction where there is space and respect for all life forms. So now coming to the topic, since when soul is in touch in bondage with karma or with bodies. So if we ask, can one tell when the gold is mixed with the sand or when gold came into existence for that matter? It has been there in one form or the other since time immemorial. Similarly, in the context of the soul's journey, Indian thinkers have mentioned that there is no beginning to transmigration of souls from birth to birth. So now the question arises, there is no beginning, but is there an end? Yes, definitely there is an end. All Indian thinkers have said, have mentioned there is an end in the form of moksha or liberation. Now, coming to the time cycle in Indian Jain philosophy, where we will get to know the cyclic pattern of time in which all the souls keep getting devolved and evolve, and this pattern keeps continue. So, a cycle is hidden in each linear occurrence, just like a linear pattern is in each cyclic one. Moving ahead, we see that if you will see this image, you will see that concept of evolution takes an interesting twist when we see it through the lens of time cycle in Indian philosophy. According to Jain philosophy, cosmic time is cyclic with no beginning or end. So we see that it is divided into two half cycles, namely Utsarpini and Avsarpini. Utsarpini indicates the ascending time cycle and Avsarpini indicates the descending time cycle. So we notice that each of these is again subdivided into 6 time periods, where Utsarpini refers to the increase of height, age, beauty, wealth, happiness, knowledge, wisdom, and all the other positive traits with each passing kal. Avsarpini is the exact opposite of that. That is, all the mentioned traits of happiness, beauty, knowledge, wealth, wisdom, they decrease with time. So we see that the half cycles of ascending and descending times are like parallel universes, indicating events that will happen in a gap of thousands of years. If we understand the time cycle, we get to know that the events are happening right now will repeat themselves in a reverse pattern after a few thousand years from now on the same planet. Okay. However, now let us probe into the future of present race Homo sapiens as described in India's ancient wisdom. There is a text named Tiloi Panatti. This is a text based on the cosmography of the universe. The teacher describes here how future humans will degrade. The teacher has also thrown light upon their way of living and how will they look and what will be their physical appearance and all. According to India's ancient wisdom, after almost 17,500 years from now, humans will have the following way of living. If we describe the body of the humans of the future, the height at entering this period is 3 or 3.5 hands, which means 3 to 4 feet approximately. If we talk about their appearance will resemble apes-like creatures, and their bodies smell bad. And if we talk about their age, their maximum age span will be 20 years. And now let's talk about their residence. We notice that they will not have houses, they will be homeless and will wander naked in the forests. There will be no trees, nor do they will have livestock. Coming to the physiological miseries, we notice that often the demeanor of humans will be beastly, ruthless, deaf, blind, dumb, impoverished, and short-tempered. Their bodies will be filled with diseases and they won't have families. And as the time keeps passing, their height, age, and strength keep decreasing. So, this study, this presentation gives us food for thought. Now we can pause for a moment, look around, and observe. Did it make sense? Now let us consider a few examples. So, death has been believed to be a metaphysical happening for ages. However, now it has been started seen as a disease, a cure for which has not been tried. We see that the famous search engine company Google is working in this direction. They have recently launched a sub company called Calico, whose stated mission is to solve death. So basically, scientists today are seeing death as a disease. Now we see experiments in genetic engineering are at a pace where the aim is to engineer the most efficient and fittest possible children through the best DNA of both parents. This seems very hopeful. But the scary truth is that if the DNA test discovers the dreaded mutations, the embryo will be destroyed. Moving ahead, we see that from the sugar we use in our cup of tea to the soaps we use, the medicines we take, and the food we eat, everything is derived from the animals through violence. Vegetarianism may become a word found in the dictionaries in a few hundred years or even sooner from now, the way non vegetarianism is getting famous. Then we can see that statistics of animal agriculture are fearful. Over 150 million animals are killed for food worldwide daily just on land. That comes to that comes out to 56 billion land animals killed annually in the US alone. Including wild caught and farmed fishes, we get a daily total of closer to 3 billion animals killed. And we all know that the number keeps increasing with each passing day. Basically, as humans, we notice that we are very cunning. We pretend that we care for Mother Earth and are worried about the harm global warming has caused our planet. It is like killing someone on the one hand and pretending to be a savior on the other. Human race seem to have forgotten entirely that they are in the shelter of the planet and not the other way around. Moving ahead, and then we realize that there are some professions for some businesses which are increasing tremendously. These are armaments, pharmaceuticals, and artificial intelligence. They pose a significant threat to the future of humanity. Artificial intelligence comes with great opportunities and threats that are difficult to predict. Cybercrime and bioterrorism indicate a scary future as well. Bill Gates said in one of his TED Talks that of all the things that could kill more than 10 million people around the world, the most likely is an epidemic stemming from either natural causes or bioterrorism. So now coming towards conclusion, standing at the top of the evolutionary ladder, humans are responsible for protecting nature and its constituents and not exploiting them. And in doing so, evolving further spiritually because according to Indian philosophies, humans can attain godhood. The theory of evolution and life's definition as per science strengthen the thought of alienness in our subconscious. For it is easier to believe that we are some random existences in the universe, emerged from chemical complexity or something like that. But difficult is to have faith in the existence of soul. So we see that it is easier to believe that we are some random existences in this universe without a purpose who have emerged from nothing and will fade into the same. Whereas belief in soul teaches us about the other dimensions to which soul can migrate to. So we see that difficult is developing a probing mindset that keeps asking and seeking the roots of our existence. We see that advancements in technology can work in two ways. One, in helping humans to find the right track, and two, to deviate them from it. Unfortunately, seeing the efficacy of the technology, the latter seems more powerful and all of us can experience this truth. So we notice that by misusing natural resources tremendously, we have abused Mother Earth irreparably. Understanding the true essence of religious philosophies may play an important role in mending the right path as they help understand the ethics and strengthen them. Religious philosophies provide us with logical answers about cosmology of the universe, space, time, metaphysics, consciousness, and whatnot. But only if we try to understand them with an open and analytical mind. The theory of evolution is successful, but only if we add consciousness to the recipe. It is likely that whom we consider the first man will be the last one. I hope this presentation has provided you some food for thought. That's it for now, friends. Thank you so much. Take care and goodbye.